Hello and welcome back to the Christian Century YouTube channel. I'm John, joined today by one of our writers, Mary Barnett, who has recently written a lectionary essay for us for All Saints' Day this year. We're going to be chatting about that essay and its themes of grief, loss. Before we dive into those things, hello, Mary. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are?
Oh boy, I'm Mary Barnett. I'm the priest at an Episcopal church in Middletown, Connecticut. I became a priest in my 60s. I went to divinity school and graduated when I was like, I don't know, 65, something like that. So it's a third career after working for a long time in dance and theater and doing some writing.
Very cool. I love it. Love the third career. And I really loved this essay. And watchers of this channel will know I do not randomly just say that to everyone who writes an essay for us. This, as I've told you off camera, Mary, I cried. I used this essay as a discussion point in the faith community that I lead. I mean, so like I really appreciate the vulnerability that you showed in writing this for us. For those out there who didn't read it, this essay is largely about a friend of yours who passed away named Molly. Sounds like an amazing friend. You became friends when you were 3 years old. Um, anyway, I'm sure you could fill volumes with writings about Molly, but this is a pretty short essay. So I'm assuming there are some wonderful stories or things about her that didn't make it into this essay. And I just wanted to ask if there's anything else you wanted to share about her now with us to help us get a better picture of who she was to you or who she was as a person.
Well, it's funny when you write about somebody in an essay like this and it's connected to the lectionary and there's someone that, somehow taught you deeply something about love. You could get the impression that there was something saccharine about them or sweet about them, which is far from the case. I was the goody two shoes, not her. She would be out smoking behind the barn, and, I'd be like, no, no, or whatever. And so she was leading me into more freedom in a kind of way. And yet, if I was going to say one thing about her that is not in that essay, she suffered too. I think, had a harder time. I gave her something that was harder for me to remember. And that may be that, I was someone that, after probably a lot of therapy, learned how to feel anger. And I don't think she did. And so I think that we can know what someone gives us, and you can go, what the heck did I ever give them? But I think, standing up for yourself, knowing that you're important, she had the quality of seeing, of making the people she looked at come into focus, like anyone, a checkout person, the postman. I listed some in the essay, but I don't think she always knew how to deeply value herself in some kind of way. I do think she was an absolutely stellar, unusual human being. I met someone just this other day that was describing a person. He's a man in the church. He's 90 years old in the church that I lead. And he was talking about this one woman, and he said, he goes, I hardly talked to her, but he was like, I felt like she knew me. And I feel like Molly had that quality when you felt like she knew you somehow. Deeply, when you didn't even, before you even knew her very well. But just saying that that's a gift, but there can also be vulnerabilities in the people that we think are so far beyond us.
Yeah.
That
Thank you
makes
for,
sense.
no, yeah, thank you for filling out that picture. In the essay, one of the reasons you said that her death was so difficult for you is that you didn't get a chance to have a sufficient goodbye. And you even urged the readers to like try to have a goodbye if you can with someone who's passing away. I'm just was curious, why do you think it's so important when we're able to do it to have a real adequate goodbye with someone who's dying?
Because I think it's hard to believe that they're gone in a weird way. I think our body intelligence, or our being, it's not, intellectually we know they're gone, but I think it can make the first thing of grief is realizing, that that they're not there anymore, to accept the fact of their death. So being at someone's bedside when they're dying makes it clear, or seeing someone after they've died. I led a funeral recently, and they decided after talking about it to have an open casket, which not many people do that anymore. The death happens kind of quickly, and we have ashes. And I think in a way, it was really helpful even for me to see this person there after they died. You just knew that you just feel completely clearly they're not in that body anymore. And so that's part of it. And I think for some reason with Molly, who was so real and present and important to me, to be, told by the family, no, this is just, we're just going to have the immediate family here, was bogus. It wasn't so much that I expected to have some kind of great words at the deathbed, words of goodbye or saying I love you, but it's more letting them go in some kind of really sad way, letting them go on whatever the next journey or whatever is, and not feeling like you've lost them, like or forgotten them, or that they're out there right here around the corner somewhere and you're not taking care of them. But it's a physical understanding of death, I think, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Well, speaking of our bodies and the way they understand things, near the end of the essay, there's a really, to me, it was a very poignant picture. You describe being at Molly's funeral, standing in one of the back corners, angrily, silently, no tears. But then a moment happens. I think it was based on a song that was played where it all changed. And you said Molly's abundance rushed back to you. You started weeping. And then at the end of the essay, you quoted from the lectionary passage linked to All Saints' Day this year. You said, "Blessed are those who weep." And I wondered if you could just tell us more, whether about that experience or just your reflections in general. But what is it about weeping that has to do with blessedness in your mind?
Oh, God. As someone that, although I'm tearing up right now, has a hard time crying, like really weeping, I felt like at her funeral, the feeling of standing up was like protest. Like, I protest this death, is what it felt like. No, and I protest this church, and I protest, that this is the way it works, and this can't be. I think, the song was, I am Lord of sea and sky. It's, here I am, Lord. It's from Isaiah, pick me, take me. Why did that help me let go? I just felt it was that was her, that she'd been used up, that she'd offered herself. We didn't have, I wasn't a particularly religious person at the time. I mean, when I'd known her, I became a minister because of her, I think. In some ways, I felt like she was one already, and I had to practice to become one because wasn't hadn't figured out yet how to let life flow through me the way she did. And that I think is what a minister ultimately is trying to do, not give people answers, but let something bigger than them flow through them to other people. And the blessedness of weeping, it kind of clears that channel. Maybe it clears out if we're conduits for love. I'm often full of a lot of static, other things on my mind, or resentments, or worries, or trying to do 15 things at once. And I think when you weep, you're doing one thing. You're letting one feeling wash through you. And there is something about water. The other day, I bought a sticker. Something said at a store at the checkout counter, it was like, salt water heals everything. And when I bought it, I love the ocean, but I think of salt water as tears too. That, when you can really not be afraid to feel those feelings that may involve feeling less powerful than you like to pretend you are, doing your big job or whatever it is, and just let feelings pour through you. And then that the gift was also really from Christian Century to write something on the lectionary and be thinking of another part of the lectionary where Jesus, where they're putting all the fish in the boat, and they suddenly have this big haul of fish. I really had this image of, water coming over the gunnels of a boat because it's so full of abundance. And that's what made me weep about her being gone, was what a gift she was, and what a gift to me, and what a gift life still is. That's so sad. It's still here. That abundance that she embodied is still available here for me. And so my job is to feel it and share it.
Thank you, Mary. Just loved the essay, loved our chat today. Thank you for being here. Anyone who missed this essay, the link will be below in the video description. Please go ahead and read that. Thanks so much for chatting today, Mary.
It was a pleasure, and it's a pleasure to talk about. I hope people have someone in their life, even a little bit like her, because follow that.
Mm, thank
Yeah.
you.